Hello, hello friends. Myself, Dr. Jayvardhan Balkhande, and working as an assistant professor in Zoology, Digambarrao Bindu Arts, Commerce, and Science College, Bhokar, Dist, Nanded. I am here to discuss a very important fundamental point in ecology or in environmental biology. It is the food chain and ecological pyramids. As far as the food chain and ecological pyramid is concerned, we will discuss first the food chain. So, what is food chain? Food chain is the path by which energy passes from one living thing to another. Means energy transfer of energy from one animal to another animal or one living thing to another living being. As you can see in the figure, from the sun is the source of energy, and the green plants, they produce their own food by the process called photosynthesis. Then the uh, grasshopper feeds on the green plants, then the frog is feeds on grasshopper, and lastly the hawk is feeds on frog. This is the example of food chain. Now we can move towards the briefly what is the food chain and how it occurs in the ecosystem. Firstly, we can see here it is a sequence of feeding relationship describe which organisms eats another. We have already seen it, how the organism eats another. So see here, the sun is the source of energy for food chains. No doubt, the sun is the power of source of energy. So when the sun grow, the producer, the grass or the green plants, they produce their own food by using the sunlight, CO2, chlorophyll pigment, and that process is called photosynthesis. Then the grasshopper, the first consumer, it is called uh, the trophic levels, the herbivorous, then the carnivorous, and again the carnivorous and the top carnivore. Can easily say that the arrow gives always points towards the eater. Means the arrow, it indicates the uh, eaters, always points toward the eaters. See here, you can see here the cockroach is eaten by the frog, and the cockroach is itself a food, and frog is a eater as food chain. Now see here, grass, the grass, they are the producers. We are already from the beginning, we are told I have told that the grass is the producer, or the green plants, they are producer, they produce their own food, and they form their they form the basis of all terrestrial food chains, no doubt, the grasses, and they use the energy in sunlight to make their own food, and through a process called photosynthesis. Now the next trophic level, they are the consumers. Okay, they are the consumers. Now since they cannot make their own food, they cannot their they cannot make their own food, that's why they must eat or consume other organisms. That's why they are consumers. They are There are different levels of consumers. The consumers, they are also called as heterotrophs, means they cannot make their own food, or they must depend on their they must for their food on another animal or another plant. Now, what are the levels in food chain? Number one, you can see here producers, consumers. See, then the primary consumer, the first consumer in a food chain, that is as shown in figure, the grasshopper. It is the first consumer in food chain. It eats what? It eats the green plants, that is the producers. Now the secondary consumer, the second consumer in food chain, it eats primary consumer, means the secondary consumer is depend on the primary consumer. Now the tertiary consumer, the third consumer in food chain, it eats secondary consumer. And the fourth one, that is the called quaternary consumer. The fourth consumer in a food chain, it is tertiary consumer, means primary, secondary, tertiary. They uh, primary consumer depends on producer, secondary consumers depend on primary consumers, and tertiary consumer depend on the secondary consumer. And lastly, the most important, top carnivore. What is meant by top carnivore? So top carnivore is an any organism that is not hunted by any other. No one can kill him or the particular carnivore animal. That's why they are top in its food chain. Now we move towards the again uh, how all organism eventually die and decomposes. Already we have seen the producers, the consumers, the primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary consumers. Now we can see the what what happened after they all die. So all organisms eventually die and decompose. But that decomposition process is performed by the microorganisms and the detritus. It is the waste matter and rotting remains of dead organisms. They are called detritus. They are all. It includes all from grass to eagle. That is called from producer to quaternary or tertiary consumer. Now that detritus food is decomposed by the decomposers, and decomposers are organisms that eat detritus and break it down into nutrients. Now again see here, whatever the nutrients present in the particular from the producer to the tertiary consumer animals, that nutrients again going to the soil because of these decomposers. So what is nutrients? Nutrients are substances needed for an organism's growth and repair, and that nutrients is take, taken by the green plants from the soil, and the cycle is restart again. That is the food chain. Now the next, it is the food chain. Now we can easily understand what is food chain. So we move towards the food webs. What is food web? So no ecosystem is only made up of only one food chain. You can see here in the figure, plant 1 and plant 2. The grasshopper, it eats both plant. The grasshopper eaten by the rat, and the rat is eaten by the fox. Okay, so plant 2 is eaten by the squirrel. The squirrel is eaten direct by fox. So it is the members of one food chain usually also belong to another. That's why it is when you put all the interconnecting food chains. These are the interconnecting food links. You can see here the one plant is eaten by the rat. That rat is again eaten by the fox. Then the grasshopper is eaten is feeds on the both plants, and the grasshopper is eaten by rat, grasshopper is eaten by frogs. Then the frog is eaten by whom? By owl, by snake. Okay, now see this happen in all interconnecting food chains. So you are putting all the interconnecting food chains in an ecosystem together, you form a food web. This is the figure, this is the whole figure of food web. Now we are already discussing about the food chain, food web. Now we can see here the trophic levels. What is meant by trophic levels? It is very easy. See, trophic level, it is the position an organism occupies in a food chain. Means in what position the organism is present. See here, in, we have given two different ecosystem. One is grassland ecosystem and another is a aquatic or pond ecosystem or aquatic ecosystem. So it is the position in an organism occupies in a food chain, and each link in the chain represent the one trophic level. See here, we can see here the first trophic level in grassland ecosystem is grasses or the green plants, and in aquatic ecosystem it is phytoplanktons. And the second trophic level is in grassland ecosystem is grasshopper, whereas the second trophic level in aquatic ecosystem is zooplanktons. Now the third trophic level, the frog is occupy the position in third level in grassland ecosystem, and the small fishes present in aquatic ecosystem, they possesses the third rank in the third trophic level. Now the fourth trophic level in aquatic ecosystem is larger fish, whereas in grassland ecosystem the snakes observed as a fourth trophic level. Now the fifth trophic level in grassland ecosystem is hawk, and in aquatic ecosystem it is shark. That is the trophic levels. Now we can see, we have already seen the food chain, food web and trophic levels. Now we move towards the ecological pyramids. When we study ecological pyramid, it is very essential to how to study the food chain, food web and trophic level. So we have already seen it. Now see the ecological pyramids. Ecological pyramids is a graphical representation of the relationship between different organisms in an ecosystem. They are the just graphical representation. We can see in next slides. Each of the bars that makes up pyramid represents a different trophic level. Already seen in last slide what is trophic level, and the order which is based on who eats whom represents the flow of energy. Again, that's why ecological pyramid is necessary for studied, because of this, which different trophic levels, their order, which is based on the who eats whom, and it represents the flow of energy, how the energy flow in an food chain or energy flow. Now, energy moves up pyramid starting with their primary producers or autotrophs. No doubt, they produce their own food. That's why they are called autotrophs. Such plants and algae means they capable to produce their own food. That's why they are autotrophs, and they are at the bottom, followed by the primary consumers, which feeds on these plants. Then the secondary consumers, again that feeds from on the primary consumer, and so on. So the height of the bars should all be the same, but the width of each bar is based on the quantity of the aspect being measured. Now see the types of pyramids, see the biomass pyramids, number of pyramids. Now see here biomass pyramids, it shows the total amount of living tissue available at each trophic level. How many amounts of living tissue is available, it shows in biomass pyramids, and this shows the amount of tissue available for the next trophic level. Then the numbers pyramid, it shows the numbers of species at each trophic level. And because each trophic level harvest only about 1/10 of the energy from the level below, it can support only about 1/10 the amount of living tissue. So we have already seen food chain, food web, trophic level. So what is the relationship, feeding relationship? See, the energy flow through an ecosystem is in one direction only. That is called unidirectional. Means the energy is transferred from sun to the last trophic level, means from the sun or the organic compounds to the autotrophs, means autotrophs or the green plant, they gain energy from sun, and that energy transferred to the next trophic level, means from primary producer to primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and so on. And the food chains are series of steps. We have already seen it is a series of steps which organisms transfer energy by eating or being eaten other animals. And the food webs, it shows the complex interaction between or within an ecosystem. Okay. Now each step in food chain or food web is called trophic level. We have already seen it in detail. And the producers makes up their first step, consumer make up their higher level. And food chain and food webs do not give any information. See, what is the need of ecological pyramids, or why we studied the ecological pyramids? Because see, the food chains and food web do not give any information about the numbers of organisms involved. They just give the chains, or they just give the food chains, and this information can be shown through ecological pyramids. That's why ecological pyramids is very important in ecological studies in environmental biological or studies in an ecosystem. And see the pyramid of numbers. We move towards the pyramid of numbers. It shows what it shows. It shows the number of organisms at each trophic level. Means how many number is present in a particular trophic level per unit area of an ecosystem. And it pyramid of number also displays the number of individuals at each level. See the pyramid of numbers. A pyramid of number is a diagram showing the amount of energy lost at each level. See the pyramid of number is a diagram showing the amount of energy lost at each level when an organism eats another organism. And there are four levels for already seen: producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, etc. Now the you can see the pyramid of numbers. Just give here the pyramid of numbers just uh, shown in the figure or shown in the pyramid. It is upright, and the pyramid number of individual is decreased from lower level to higher trophic levels. You can see here the organism or number of animals, they are decreasing as trophic level increases, and this type of pyramid can be seen in the grassland ecosystem and pond ecosystem. The grasses, for example, see here the grasses, they are producers, they occupy the lowest trophic level base because of their abundance. In nature, the producers, they are abundance. Now the next is the higher trophic level is primary consumer, herbivorous. They are like deers. Here give you an example of deers. So they are the herbivorous, they feed on green plants, that's why they are called herbivorous. Now the individuals members of deers is less than that of grass. Whatever the amount of grass is present, uh, the number of deer is few as compared to the grass present on the earth or the terrestrial ground. Now, the individual's number of deer is less than that of grass. The next energy level is primary carnivore like fox. That particular foxes, they are eaten or they are feeds on the deers, but their number is again less. The number of foxes is less than the deers because they feed on deers. The next higher trophic level in the top carnivore like lion. We know the lion is the king of forest, and their number is, we know. So the with trophic each higher trophic level, the number of individual decreases. That is the pyramid of upright. And then pyramid of numbers. That pyramid is inverted pyramids. How we can say? Because see in this pyramid the number of individuals is increased from lower level to higher trophic level, but in the upward or the previous PPT, we have seen that the uh, number of pyramids or the number of individuals, they are uh, decreases as the trophic level increases, but here it is not. So that here this is the figure, this is the upright pyramid. The number, the pyramid, the trophic level increases, and as trophic level increases the number of animals, they are decreases. But in pyramid of numbers it is a uh, opposite to the upright pyramid, it is inverted pyramid. And the example of this pyramid is tree ecosystem. You can see here the producer, a single tree is there, and upon the tree or the number of birds they present or they live here for their survival, and the number is much more, but number of parasites, number of insects, they are present in higher than the herbivorous or the uh, other birds. And the hyper parasite, they are also uh, very high as compared to parasites herbivore animals. Now the pyramid of biomass. The total amount of matter present in organisms of an ecosystem at each trophic level is biomass. The biomass is preferred through the use of members of organisms because individuals organisms can vary in size. It is the only, it is the total mass, not the size that is important. Here the mass is important. Then pyramid of biomass records the total dry organic matter of organisms at each trophic level in a given area, and you can see here the display of biomass at each trophic level. I have already told you the width is more important. Here the primary producer there, it is an, it is the example of aquatic food chain, aquatic ecosystem. The primary producer, their width is much more. They are phytoplanktons. Then the primary consumers who depend on the producers, their number is decreases. They are zooplanktons. Their width is less as compared to the primary producer. Now the low-level carnivores, the shrimps, scampi, they are also few in numbers as compared to the zooplankton because they are depend on the zooplanktons. Now the mid-level carnivore, large fishes, their number is also few as compared to the lower level carnivore, and last the top carnivore, the shark, they are also a less number as compared to the large species. This is the hypothetical pyramid, biomass pyramid. Now we move towards the energy pyramid. We know we have energy because of we take a number of food. So to compare the functional roles of the trophic level in an ecosystem, an energy pyramid is most suitable. An energy pyramid represents the amount of energy at each trophic level and loss of energy at each transfer to the another trophic level. As trophic level increases, the heat or the energy is released or lost, and hence the pyramid is always upward with large energy base at the bottom. Means you can see in the figure the phytoplankton or the producers, their width is more. Primary consumer, their width is much less than the producer. Again the secondary consumer, their width is also less than the primary consumers, and the tertiary consumer, their length is the width is very less, and whatever the energy they gain, they are also less as compared to the producer. See, suppose an ecosystem receives 1000 calories of light energy in a given day. Most of the energy is not absorbed. Some is reflected to space. Of the energy absorbed, only a small portion is utilized by green plants, out of which the plant uses up some of respiration and of the 1000 calories. Therefore, only 100 calories are stored as energy rich material. We know the whatever the energy is taken by the green plant, they are not given as 100% to the next trophic level. Whatever the energy they gain from the sun, some energy they utilize for their metabolism, some energy utilized in the respiration. So now suppose an animal, say a fish, eats the plant containing 100 calories of food energy. The fish uses some of it for its metabolism and stores only 10 calories as food energy. A man that eats the fish gets an even smaller amount of energy. Means in this pyramid we can say that, or in energy flow we can say that the higher animal is not uh, taken, or they are not found high amount of energy from the green plants. The more energy is present in the producers, then once the trophic level increases, the energy level decreases, and thus usable energy decrease from sunlight to producer to herbivore to the carnivore. Therefore, the energy pyramid will always be upright. Now, energy pyramid concept helps to explain the phenomena of biological magnification, the tendency for toxic substances to increase in concentration progressively with higher trophic levels. Now we move towards the biomagnification. What is biomagnification? So biomagnification refers to progressive bioaccumulation at each trophic level with the passage of time. In order for biomagnification, to occur, the pollutant must have a long biological half-life. Means the pollutant must have long life. It must not be soluble in water, but must be soluble in fats. For example, DDT, dichlorodiphényl trichloroethane. If the pollutant is soluble in water, it will be excreted by the organism. Simple. So pollutants that dissolve in fats are retained for a long time. Hence, it is traditional to measure the amount of pollutant in a fatty tissue of organisms such as fish. You can see here in the figure, in water the percentage of DDT is lower, but as it enters into the food chain, as it enters from water to the producer, from producer to the consumers, means from producer to the zooplankton, small fishes, large fish, and lastly the fish eating birds, the concentration of DDT is higher as it accumulate in the tissue, as it accumulate in the fatty tissue of an organism. And then ecological efficiency, it describes the efficiency with which energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next trophic level. The number of trophic levels in a grazing food chain is restricted as the transfer of energy follows 10% law. Only 10% of the energy is transferred to the each trophic level from the lower trophic level. And the decreases at each subsequent trophic level is due to the two reasons. At each trophic, a part of available energy is lost in the respiration or used up in the metabolism. A part of energy is lost at each transformation. So this is the uh, food chain, food web, trophic level, and ecological pyramid. So why we are studying the ecological pyramid? What is the function of ecological pyramid? So an ecological pyramid not only shows us the feeding patterns of organisms. Means feeding pattern means herbivorous, carnivorous, okay, in different ecosystems, but can also give us an insight into how inefficient energy transfer is, and show the influence that a change in numbers at one trophic level can have one trophic level above and below it. Also, when data are collected over the years, the effects of changes that takes place in the environment on the organisms can be studied by comparing the data. That's why the ecological pyramid is very important in the ecology. If an ecosystem's conditions are found to be worsening over the years because of pollution or overhunting by humans, or the uh, overhunting by the humans, the action can be taken to prevent further damage and possibly reverse some of the present damage. That is the function of ecological pyramid. So it is very important aspect in ecology or in environmental biology. This can be useful for all the BSc students, all the life science students, those who are preparing for their competitive examinations, NET set or IFSC or BSc, M.Sc examination. I hope this will be helpful to all students. Uh, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.